also need to be clear about how we got into this mess. And the questions that I must tell you I'm most concerned about, that I think have gotten not only no answers, but more or less haven't even been asked, are some that deal with the policies that led up to this debacle. And I want to just give you three as illustrative of them. The policy of engaging, legitimating, funding, and in some cases arming jihadists, people who make no secret about their determination to destroy us. To the contrary, they boast of it at every turn. It is in their doctrine, it is in their videos, they die for it, and they have entire networks. I don't know if they qualify as mainstream exactly, but Al Jazeera abroad and Al Jazeera America now are instruments of enemy propaganda that are designed to communicate unmistakably the intention of the kind of people the Obama administration has seen fit now for 5 years to embrace and otherwise embolden. And they are bent on our destruction. That is a policy error of absolutely unspeakable danger and proportions. To give you a sense of how it's working out, the guys who are now building a caliphate in Iraq are the sorts of people that not so long ago we were told we needed to help in Syria. And we were helping, it appears, gain arms from Libya under the administration of Chris Stevens. And I think the answer to the question, Brigitte, is yes, that's exactly what he was doing in Benghazi on that particular evening, meeting with the Turkish consul general as his last act. A second issue, a second policy problem that it seems to me has not been plumbed, and I pray that this select committee will get into it, is this whole notion that the success of the president's initiative on Libya was what was countermanding all of those requests for security improvements in Benghazi. The success of the lead from behind strategy, the success of the notion that throwing over Muammar Gaddafi with no regard for who would come next, let alone what would happen to the immense amounts of arms that he had cached all over the country, which apparently we would then set about trying to scarf up and at least send some to the next set of jihadists, or in some cases the same set of jihadists now doing business in Syria. But the point is that once you buy into this notion that success is having positive relationships with jihadists, and I'm not speaking of one particular strain of the particular group, it doesn't really matter whether they're Sunni jihadists or they are Shiite jihadists. In fact, they'll, as Claire Lopez has attested to on many occasions, they will work together as easily as try to kill each other when it serves their common purpose to destroy us. And this is part of the policy muddle, to put it charitably, hash up. I'm interested, by the way, in getting a hashtag hash up going. So if anybody's got some thoughts as to documenting this series of policy failures, please join me there. But the point is that if you believed that nothing was more important than promoting the fiction that the President of the United States had succeeded with his efforts in removing a tyrant, to be sure, but a tyrant who was at that particular time and for the previous couple of years our tyrant in Libya, in favor of any number of jihadist alternatives, then you find it not too hard to get to a point where you don't tend to the concerns or requests or pleas for security improvements of some of the people that you've sent into harm's way, literally into the crosshairs of those jihadists. I think this fits a larger pattern, and that's really the point of this conversation, is the policies that gave us Benghazi on this sort of circumstance are the policies that have led us to subordinate national security and even public safety to the political dictates of the moment of the presidency of the United States. And this creates conditions that I think we're going to witness playing out in Iraq, in Afghanistan, probably in a lot of places closer to home as well, maybe even indeed inside this country, if we persist in this notion that the public safety be damned, that the national interest be damned. Nothing is more important than persisting in the policies that apparently the president is attached to. And finally, just picking up on a point that both of my colleagues have made, the video meme. That was a singular affront, I think, to the intelligence of the American people. The fact that it was repeated weeks after it was known not to be true, including by the President of the United States at the United Nations, where he said, quote, "The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam," unquote. A statement that you could have found on Al-Qaeda's website, or for that matter, that of the Muslim Brotherhood. This is an issue that we must address not just in the microcosm of what on earth was Susan Rice doing, saying it 5 times on the Sunday show, as much of an affront as that was, but what was the policy of the Obama administration from March of 2009 to today, which is to impose Sharia blasphemy laws on the American people. It is their purpose. Hillary Clinton was actively engaged in something called the Istanbul process, which was in conjunction with the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which has been about this since 1999. And I just will leave you with this thought. When you hear Democrats in the United States Senate announcing their determination to amend the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, think about this. I suspect, were they to succeed, that it will not in the end just be political speech that will be restricted. It will be speech considered offensive to Muslims as well. And that's the policy that we need to have addressed, as well as the particulars that it helped encourage in Benghazi on September 11th, 2012. Thank you.